Right. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you all who join us today. Hi, I'm Aris. I'm your host for today, and welcome to this series of authenticity and inclusivity. I came from a banking background, like my guest today, for over 2 decades, and I turned ICF, International Coaching Federation accredited coach some time back. And I support my client to embrace their authenticity so they can better their executive presence, increase their confidence and effectiveness as a leader. I'm also a DEI advocate, where I served over, I think, 7+ years in an NPO in Singapore, where we drive financial professionalism in the industry, and I chair membership, mentoring, and I work with many senior leaders, which is how and where I met my lovely guest, Mukta. She is a human resource professional with 24 years plus of experience in multi-industry and location in APAC. She started her career actually in India after completing a master in management studies. She worked in this Tata Waterhouse Security before she joined as the talent head for another company. In 2006, she joined SocGen. Is that right? Because I think in banking, we always call SocGen. I'm so used to having the short name. And I've been there for, 16+ years. And she's now based out of Hong Kong as a CHRO. And she's also a certified coach. And also a global fellow in a talent management by the Wharton University and a global talent management leader with certification with lots of stuff. DEI, MBTI, FIRO. Gosh, you've got lots of qualifications. And she has published author with 4 books. You have to speak to her. I know you can't wait to hear her story, so I should cut it short. So without further ado, I'd like to hand this mic over to her and let her share with you her authentic journey into her current role. So the mic to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Aris, and thank you for this wonderful introduction. Sometimes I feel that you're talking about somebody else. So for me, I think this topic, authenticity, it is a very important topic because I felt throughout my entire career, of what you spoke about, 24+ professional career, but even before that, I did feel that one of the things that I like most is frankness, and genuineness, because frankly, you can figure out if somebody is not genuine or somebody is fake. And that really is something that doesn't touch my heart. So if somebody is fake, you can make out, and it doesn't touch my heart. And that's why from the very beginning, I was known when I was growing up, whether in school, in college, or in my profession. I think one of the things that people always knew me was for my frankness. And sometimes people would call me brutally frank, which I don't think was a compliment. But I felt that when I was growing, if I do not say things which are true to me, or which I feel or I have conviction about, I would feel very uneasy, I would not be able to sleep at night, or it will really make me uncomfortable. So I started thinking about it, and I'm in the HR field, so where we talk about discovering yourself. We ask our employees to go through a lot of sessions, where they have to get self-awareness, get to know about their strengths, etc. And I think it really gave me the impetus to really discover myself, when I was growing in this particular field, knowing about my strengths, knowing about who am I. And I can tell you, in this journey, in this self-discovery of finding myself, I found it very uncomfortable in the beginning. I was, for example, when we used to have 360 feedback in organizations, and I had my first 360 feedback assessment, I was petrified about what I will hear. And when my manager, discussed with me about the findings, I was frankly in denial because, there were some of the things I was like, why do people think like this? Whereas I think, I am XYZ, but they are thinking I am ABC. It really made me feel very uncomfortable to know about what people talk about me. But again, over time, you get used to it. And then I realized that actually what people are saying, whether it is their perception or not, it is a trend. And maybe I need to look at myself, within, and try to figure out whether what they're saying makes sense or not. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but it did help me to really understand about myself. And at one point of time, I was a little bit, thinking very highly of myself, thinking that, okay, I'm the best in the world. And that was, I think, when I was in my 20s. I used to think I can do anything, which is great, but then I also used to think that everybody else's opinion is not that great compared to mine. But again, with self-realization, with really knowing yourself, I did learn that there are so many things I really need to learn, So again, I think this self-discovery helped me to understand more about myself, helped me to be more authentic to myself, true to my. It did help me to become, I would say, somebody who is not a fake person, or somebody who in my profession is also transparent to other people, fair and just. And I think this is really the important part that I learned over my, journey of few years. And then came a time when everybody was talking about purpose, so there were I was attending a lot of training sessions where people were talking about purpose, and I was wondering about that, because how to find my purpose? Is it very important for somebody? Is it going to give me a lot of satisfaction? Is it going to make me, like, I don't know, calm? Because I am restless. I was much more restless earlier. And then I started thinking about it, and the self-awareness tools that I had gone through earlier did help me to understand about myself more. After, at the age of around 42, I realized that my purpose in life is basically to help people in whatever they do. And I realized that this is what gives me most satisfaction. And how did I achieve that? I achieved that by really looking at what are the things that really make me happy? What are the things that really make me feel down and miserable? I listed them down, I looked at all the crest in my career, in my personal life, where I had the aha moment, where I was like, oh my God, the smile came to my face quickly. And what are the things which really I didn't want to do, So I think that really made me analyze what are the things that are very dear to my heart. And that's what I discovered, that really, if I help somebody, if somebody tells me that, oh, the advice that you gave me, or the tip that you gave me, it really helped me to grow further. And then it struck me that why I am in my profession for such a long time is because my job as a HR professional helps me to help people. And this is how I feel motivated to do more. I feel motivated to upgrade myself, do more courses, and really enjoy every day of my life. Of course, I have ups and downs also, but most of the time, I really love doing it. So this is how I found my purpose, and my job is aligned with my personal purpose. And that's why I feel that I love my job, most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time.
Interesting. What I'm hearing is about following that passion and finding your calling, but that process come from like a discovery journey. Of course, initially it's difficult. Well, you use the word denial. I'm an XYZ, they think I'm an ABC or whichever. But swallowing that bitter pill to get to know myself better, to open up and hear what people think of me and reflect back, like we say, analyze. And where am I heading? What exactly is my purpose? And the more I do that, the more awareness I have. And the more awareness I have, then asking myself the aha moment, what made me happy and things like that. And then really understand what's close to my heart and following that. And then, yeah, the more you do, and then you kind of realize and then motivated to do more, which is your upgrade and doing all the courses and training and things like that. Yeah. If I can ask, how do you find this journey to be, how has this journey or this journey of yours been authentic?
I feel the journey has been, it made me realize what I am truly, what really makes me tick. Okay. Now, for me, I think this is the starting point, that if you do not know yourself, if you do not know what is deep within you, what really makes you tick, what really makes you do things, what motivates you, if you do not know, how will other people know? So for me, I think it starts with self-discovery, and that's why I'm a great supporter of all the self-awareness tools that we have, where we really discover our personality, our likes, our dislikes, our preferences. All those things are extremely important to really see where we are. And for me, that's the beginning of your authenticity journey, because if you do not know about yourself, you cannot be authentic, So that's the starting point for me. And for me, I think because it's my career, my profession is human resources, and I am, in touch with a number of these self-discovery tools. So I think it was easier for me to get used to it and then use it on myself, because every time we would have a training program using a particular tool, I would first try it on myself. So I gathered a lot of data about myself through various tools. And it really propelled me to think more about things, because sometimes I would see the results and I would really think that that's not me, it's not the me that I know as me, Why is it so different? Is it because there's something wrong in the tool? Is it something because I'm not aware of it? Are these the blind spots that I really need to look at? And I think that really propelled me to think about myself in a completely different way. And it was not easy again, there was some of the things which I did not agree in the beginning, but then I realized that I am really trying not to see things which are right in front of me, So that's where, for me, I think it really helped me to discover myself. I really saw, my reactions to different things, which was quite important, because after the self-discovery, it's a question of, how do you react to certain things? Because things will happen around you, which might trigger you, which might make you, I don't know, happy, but sad, angry, but how am I going to control that reaction, knowing myself, So for example, there are certain things which when I knew about myself, I knew that it's going to trigger me. And I would try to calm myself down to say that I'm not going to react in the way that I was doing in the past, and which was really very destructive and which was quite detrimental to my own well-being, And then I react in certain way. So for me, I think once you know that, then you can go to the next stage of really controlling your reactions. And even if you're delivering a message, or you're talking to somebody, giving a very tough message or something which is not very positive, you are able to do it in such a way that it is not harsh, but it is reasonable, it is logical, and people take it, in the right sense. But this only happens when you have passed through all that journey. For me, again, it's a step-by-step process, and it's a long process. It's like you don't have this realization overnight, So I didn't have any sort of eureka moment, of discovering all these things. It was bits and pieces over a period of time.
Thank you. I think one word that stands out really big, I mean, there's a few, but the biggest one that stands out, if you do not know yourself. And when we do not know, this thing come to mind recently. They have this circle of learning, right? The 4 things about unconsciously incompetent. We don't know. Then we become consciously incompetent. So basically, we know that actually I need to find out. Then you went on that journey. It's not an immediate overnight, but it take a lot. Like I say, the self-discovery too, your like, your dislike, all your personality traits, the MBTI, this, whatever. I actually typed about as well. Your strength profile. I also did that. I did a few different strength profile. I did strength profile. I did group first strength. I did MBTI. I did this. I also qualified in some of them. I do agree. Can't agree more. It's actually a journey. It's not an overnight thing. Whatever assessment, I always find they're useful, but they give you like one aspect of you. Then you do another assessment, you see you another aspect. Then you see another aspect, and then you gradually kind of bring in. Not easy, but what came to my mind when you're saying it's not easy, you don't agree initially, is the humility that you have. I mean, I don't agree, but I'm just going to listen out. But as I more listen and I reflect and reflect and reflect, and then you realize where is that different, and then going back inward. I mean, there is an in and an out, right? Outside is hearing what people say, but it's not about pleasing people, but about listening what I have in behavior, which I'm not really consciously doing because it's on an autopilot. We are on autopilot, right? You can't be everything is like so
yeah.
But when you get the 360 feedback, which I think is brilliant, I've been doing a lot with 360 with client, is that you can always see the difference, and then we kind of understand why there was a difference, and is it due to certain situation they see you, because it's always the perspective, and then kind of come back and the reflection, being reflective on what's happening, and it's a journey. And when you have a difficult conversation, you don't need to be harsh because you understand, because you passed through the journey. I was like, whoa, that's lots of wisdom there.
No, nothing wisdom. I think it's more experience, I would say. And one other part of authenticity which I really value and I think it's very important is really the alignment to our values. If we really have conviction about something, and if there are certain things we are doing which are not in alignment, then you can see the struggle, and when I was talking about not able to sleep, etc., it was more that, because I was just feeling uneasy. Maybe earlier when I was not aware, I didn't know why I'm feeling uneasy, but then after you do your self-discovery, etc., what are the things that you will never accept, or you will never tolerate, because it is completely in clash with your values and beliefs, and it just doesn't make you feel right, And I think it's that gut feeling. I feel that it has a very important role to play, because we all know, our bodies know when something is not making us happy and it's not aligned, or whether. So that's why I think authenticity, as you said earlier, is being true to ourselves, and being true to ourselves is really that alignment. And that's why, sometimes we say the culture clashes. It's because of that, your values in some way are not matching with the person, with the organization, with anything else, and then you don't want to do anything. You don't want to do anything to do with them, because it's just a miserable place to be, And that's why I feel that we have to listen to our gut feeling. If you feel something is not matching, we have to find ways of exit, because if we are there for a longer time, it will just make us miserable. So I think it is, and I think also when you want to say something, but you do not get the opportunity to say it, then it makes you upset. Authenticity is really, if you feel like doing something, you do it within, of course, the boundaries, but you do it. Because if you're suppressing it, it's going to become like a big thing and then erupt somewhere. So for me, I feel personally for myself, if I'm not able to say what I feel, or if I'm not able to do things in the way that I feel is right, for myself, for the organization, for my family, or whatever it is, then it creates those kind of miserable feeling, feeling of misery, in that way. So which for me is not good for well-being. And we talk about mental well-being, and for me, this is the most important thing that we can do to ourselves, is really making understanding what is it that we want, which helps us to do that. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult to live a life which is meaningful, which is happy, or which is basically sound, So
I love what you bring in about the alignment to values. I wrote quite a few blogs about value because that was my biggest turning point in my life. When I was doing my first training in coaching, there was this training on values, and I spent a lot of time doing work on that on top of what I go for. I did a lot of other research and read up. And I realized that it's because of my own personal journey. And I realized that when we don't align to our value, like we say, the gut feeling, the body feel it, but we can't really pinpoint if we don't really know, but you just feel something is not right. So I like to say that value, no right, no wrong, is just that compass, inner compass inside us. And that value will tell us do something and don't do something. So if you don't feel right about something, your brain say, yeah, of course, this is logical, you should do it, but you just don't feel it right somewhere, there's a gut there. It's probably the value telling you that, but the thing is, if you don't know yourself, back to say, if you don't know yourself, then you don't know that what happened was a misalignment to your value. And you can't be authentic when you're not aligned to that core value. And your body will tell you, I don't feel good. I come to think of it, it's like, what about decision? When people make decisions, how do they know there's a right decision or wrong decision? What do they base that on?
Yeah, I mean, we all base decisions on what we think is right or wrong. So again, it's, as you said, it's the compass, which is our own inner compass, So based on our experience in the past, what we have seen other people do, that's how we say, to the best of my knowledge, this is the decision I'm making, based on all the facts which are available, based on what I feel is right. So again, for me, it is a sum total of very different things that we have accumulated over the past. So it's experience, but it's also our values and beliefs. And that's why, I know sometimes it sounds like motherhood statements when you say about values and beliefs, but it is a very important part. It's a part of our DNA, in a way. So that guides us to take a decision, So when we say, I have the gut feeling that this is going to be right, it is, I think that, it's a sum total of all our experiences, values, beliefs, what we think is right, our moral compass. I think it's a mix of everything. And again, that's why you cannot replicate, things which we do. We cannot have clones, making decisions and all. There is always sometimes some difference, some subjectivity between different people, because we all are unique and we are made of different ecosystems. Our ecosystems are different. It's never the same for any two people, so
yeah,
that's what I think is happening, when we are taking decision. I know there are quite a few theories of decision making, decision science, but I guess this is what maybe, is the innermost feeling, and then it helps us to take decisions here.
There is this quote. I was doing my vision board with a group yesterday. So I say that your vision board has also had to align to your value. And when you know your value, then you have no difficulties making decisions. The challenge of making decision is we always logicalize this. Well, what's the pros, what's the cons? We lay out on the table what we should do, what we should not do. That's it. We don't think that what I feel I should be doing, but it's always what I should or not do. We always logicalize. But we see a lot of these people, especially in our line of work. But the thing is that even I logicalize, even I have a black and white, I've got a pros and cons all dropped out, but I still cannot make that decision. What is missing there? And what is missing is they don't trust their instinct. Oh, okay, let me say a DNA, the values and the belief, which is very subtle. We don't talk about it, but it's because it's many layer belief, right? Yeah, belief is something that's so deep that we don't think about it generally, but the belief drive us to do everything and anything that we do. Likewise, it's our value. Yeah. And so if we are not true to ourselves and we don't really know what is our values, what we believe in, but doesn't mean that we don't know it's not driving us. It's still driving us, just like you drive your client blind, your car blind, but you're still driving it. You cannot say, I don't drive the car. Your car is in motion. Just like you don't know that that's driving it. And when we know, it's a lot clearer and you know what to do with your life. Yeah, that value. So good that you bring it out. Just, gosh, time passed fast, man. We have 5 more minutes. So if we know, the series is about authenticity and inclusivity. So I'm always think that in the midst of being true to our core self, being authentic, we should not neglect that inclusivity. How can we include another person? And even though we are different as an individual, we are unique. There's no duplicate, I was to say, but how can we be inclusive then when we are authentic?
For me, it is actually pretty simple, because once you are genuine, you listen to the person, you are in the moment. Like, we say in coaching that when you are listening to somebody, you have to be in the moment, which is quite important. And you actually then, immerse yourself in what the person is saying. You listen, you hear, and then people can see the genuineness also. Because, genuineness just shows itself. You don't even have to do anything. Don't have to dress it up into this. And for me, once you are doing that, you are really including the other person, in the conversation, in what you are doing in the moment, etc. So for me, it is natural. The most important thing is be genuine about the other person. If you are having a conversation, be genuine about listening to them, not thinking about your responses, not thinking about something else which is going on in your life, but really listening to them. And once you do that, the person will feel included, because they will feel that they are being listened to, they are being cared for. And this really is, for me, is the basis of any inclusive behavior. The first and foremost is listen to people. And it's not easy, because we have so many things going on. Sometimes we are just hearing superficially, we are not listening to people. I think that's the first and foremost thing. And once you do that, then you have the attention, and then you can have a much more meaningful conversation once you listen to somebody. Because if you don't do it, and a lot of people don't do it, in your daily life, in your family, in organizations, they just miss the entire point. And the person you are talking to feels like, oh my God, this person has no time for me. So why should I be even spending time with this person? So for me, I think this is my first and foremost learning for myself, because I also realize that sometimes I do not listen. I'm looking at my phone, I'm looking at some other devices, or thinking about what's going to happen in the next 1 hour, etc. And sometimes I would completely miss the point, or for example, when people are in meetings, you're not listening because you're doing other things, and then you completely miss the main essence of what is going on. And I really had to train myself, because as I said, I was a bit restless and my attention span was pretty short. I still is, but I make effort to really pay attention, and it's not easy. But this is one lesson for myself, and I'm still improving it, on a daily basis, because now I'm aware that I'm sometimes not paying attention, and I try to push myself back, to that focus, which I'm the focus area where I should be actually focusing my energies on. So
that's a brilliant point. Being genuine, and when you're genuine, you're natural, and it's all come from the basis of just listening. And in our current era, it's very challenging to be listening, especially restless like us. My highest saboteur is restless. Okay, so I know what you're saying. But listening is an art. I was just telling this to a client, I think yesterday, and then she was talking about it. I said, listening is an art. And then she looked at me, I said, yeah. So I explained to her, Because we have so many gadgets and so many things going on, and now everyday things are so fast, not like 30, 40 years ago. Things are different. Now everything is just moving so fast. I don't have to be in the same place that you. We just go online and we see each other. So everything is instant.
Yes, exactly.
Our brain are trained to expect fast and instant. And even when we are listening, we'll be wondering what's next and how to respond. But when we able to fully pay attention and listen, we are including. That's a beautiful way of putting it. Yeah. And being genuine in that listening. Yeah.
I learned it the hard way, so that's why I'm sharing it here.
Okay, you let me sharing. And with that, I want to round and say, do you have like maybe 3 tips for audience or people who have listened to a recording, how they can be authentic to themselves, and also to be, well, I think the inclusivity I'm hearing is being just listen and truly listen, not listen that, oh, what I'm going to say next, not about responding, but about listening. But what about the authenticity?
Yeah.
What is your tips for people to get into, to journey back into their authentic self?
I think, again, it is actually linked to also listening, but listening to people who give you their feedback, because as you know, feedback is a gift. Not if people don't care about you, they will not spend time giving you feedback. This is very important that you listen and take it into account, because as I said earlier, it could also be blind spots, for us. And maybe when we are getting the same feedback again and again, it's a trend. Maybe there is something to it. So that is for me is quite important. If you want to be authentic, you need to really self-discover, and then listen to people who are close to us. And I think these are people whom you trust, so which is quite important. The second part in authenticity is really, being true to your values. So that means you need to really know what your values are, because as you said, sometimes it's a driving force. But if we do not know about it, we will not know what is it that is triggering us. So I think for me, it is important, invest some time, in discovering about your beliefs, your value systems, where it is coming from. And it is a fascinating journey. It may take time, but it is a fascinating journey. And I think finally, be true to yourself is basically don't neglect what your gut is telling you. I really think it's very important, because a gut feeling is based on a number of things that you have accumulated over years. So really listen to your gut feeling. Do not deny it. There could be something to it, and maybe try to analyze. And once you do it, you will realize that maybe this is something that you should be doing all along. Instead, you listen to something else, more logic, etc. But this is what I feel works for me. Hopefully, it will work for you also.
I like that. I mean, inclusivity is about the listening and genuine, but even authentic is also listening to other people, not just anyone, because a lot of people are very don't like the word feedback because of negative and whatever, but listen to people that you trust, because what actually hit me was, if they don't care, they won't say that to you, because they care.
Yes,
and they're just trying to find out the blind spot, because it's not blind spot, I don't see. But if people keep telling me that, then there's something that's going on, and that is kind of going to the journey of discovery and true to the value. Otherwise, you're driving a client blindly, and don't neglect our own that gut feeling. Oh, that's wonderful advice, very good advice. And yes, I will invite everybody to go on this journey, start to listen, go on a self-discovery, true to your values and true to yourself, and start your awareness and journey to your authenticity. And with that, I think I should end this here. And thank you so much for today. Yeah, really wonderful. I got some gems from that too myself.
Thank you, Aries. And as I was talking, I also discovered something, so it will help me again. Thank you.
Okay, good. So we both find some gems there. we can talk further and at another post. I will summarize this and then put it in there, and then we can see who anybody have more questions to ask.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. See you.
Okay, bye.